I don't need no man.
Hey there, good man fam. Have you finished putting your guess in the comments section of whether this female to your left is a traditional woman, or modern female? So far, you've seen her mannerisms without actually hearing her speak. Well, we're about to go over these videos piece by piece to see if you're correct in your assessment of her. So let's get into it.
I feel like it all depends on how you view life. Like you said, you're spiritual, you view life in a certain way, you like to live a certain way.
No, it's dependent on outcomes. Yes. So what do you get?
Yeah. What do you mean by that?
Okay, I actually like what she just did there. Pearl said something and she actually stopped and asked for clarification. Not bad. That means that she, at the least, seems to be open to listening and understanding. Okay, so she's starting off strong here. Let's continue.
So okay, if you want a traditional outcome, like I'd first ask, are you a traditional woman? Yeah. And what outcome will you get? What outcome have you gotten in the past? If you've never gotten that outcome in the past, why would you get it in the future by just raising your standards?
Well, I can't argue with her there. Never getting something previously doesn't mean that you can't help to make things change in the future. So I agree with her right now. Okay, sister girl, you're doing your thing so far. Let's see what else you're saying.
No, because I feel like where you are now doesn't mean this is where you're always going to be.
Yeah,
I realize, I know that your mindset matters. So whatever if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to get it done. I don't care what she says. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it.
Right, but this is okay. So if I'm applying for a CEO job and they say, okay, what CEOs have you worked for before?
But did you know
they say, I've worked minimum wage at McDonald's, but I really want the CEO.
But you know,
we can talk about that. We want it, but it doesn't mean you're going to get it.
But there's been probably situations where that's happened.
Okay, so the first thing is that she believes in herself. I definitely love that. Heck, if you can't believe in yourself, then it'll be kind of unfair for you to ask others to believe in you, So on its face, that's good. Nothing wrong with that. However, did she say that there have been situations where someone came from working minimum wage at McDonald's and said to another company, I'm guessing, that they want to work directly for a CEO? Now, I don't know if she heard the question wrong or if she was thinking that there are people who are working minimum wage jobs who have aspirations to be a CEO. So, since I'm not really clear on her understanding of what Pearl said or her response, it doesn't necessarily mean anything right now because there's not enough information, at least not at this point. So, let's continue.
But there's been probably situations where that's happened by chance and by going for it.
Right, and people win the lottery, and it happens. But I'm not going to go and give general advice and say, oh, that's going to happen for most people.
But the perfect example is Tyler Perry.
Well, Pearl had a point about not giving advice based on outliers. But I stopped it here because the female who chimed in mentioned Tyler Perry. Okay, wait. Now, he's a completely different animal and is definitely not a good example for them here. I think his first play didn't even hit it big until 9 years. 9 years in. That's not the same as somebody going to a CEO and asking to work for them and getting a lucky break. That's hard work on Tyler Perry's part. I just wanted to clear that up right quick. Let's get back to the female who's the focus of this video and see what else she has to say.
It's not going to happen for most people, but you just got to want it. That's what I believe. I don't believe that, or totally agree with what you're saying, but I do believe that once you have the mindset and you desire something, I said I'm not in the 20%. Doesn't mean that I'm not going to be one day. Maybe I want to be, and maybe I will be. That's all my mindset.
Okay, so she's talking about whether or not she will be in the top 20%. Wait, is she talking about the top 20% of earners? Because if she is, then yeah, her drive and mindset will play a huge part in whether or not she reaches that level. But this is a relationship podcast, so it begs the reason that about what she's talking is the top 20% of women in relationships. But based on what we've heard so far, we don't know specifically about which one they're talking. Let's see if they tell us.
I
but
choose
you
to
can't
do.
be in the 20% with a kid.
Who says that?
It's men.
Why can't I be in the
Men.
20%?
I'm sorry. It's not.
No,
it's
sorry.
not-
I agree.
Nobody.
I'm
I'll
a
just say
mom,
something.
yeah.
I'm a mom. Can I finish talking?
Go on.
And nobody can limit me. No one can limit me.
Yes,
There's
girl.
no limitation. So if I want to be in the 20% and I believe I'm going to be in the 20% with my 6-year-old, I am going to be in it.
Okay. So they are talking about the top 20% of women in relationships, which now raises my antenna. To be in the top 20% of women in that realm means that you're desired by the top 20% of men. And last I checked, the top 20% of men do not desire a female with a 6-year-old kid. But that's not the thing that's signaling my antenna the most. Are you all noticing her mannerisms? Couple that with how she said, "Can I finish?" And it's starting to show some familiar signs of a particular sect of female. Not to mention that I don't think she was in the top 20% of women before she had her child. So she thinks she can get there now, both with the child and as she gets older, by somehow willing herself into desirability from those guys. Does she not know how these men work? Okay, now we're getting into the deep waters here. Let's dive in some more, good man fam.
That's because that's my mindset and that's how I think.
But you have to ask the top 20% of men what they want.
But that's fine.
And I'm telling you, I've interviewed these men. I've
don't
spoken to
want-
this men.
Yeah, but that's
and they
fine.
They don't
That's
want
fine,
single
but-
mothers typically.
But typically they don't want. But I'm sure there's a small percentage that will.
And you'll find that percentage.
Sierras exist, but they look like Sierra and they have Sierra outcomes.
Yeah, but
they're,
the thing
they're
is,
exceptions. They're not the rule.
that's fine. I know I'm not Sierra. I'm Janae Simone. So whatever Janae Simone wants, if she's going to put her mind to it, she's going to get it. So you might not, the percent or the statistics may go against me, but I know who I am and I know what I want. So yes, I have a 6-year-old, and yes, I was a teenage mom, but that doesn't define me.
You're not
as who I am.
And I'm
Who
not
I was
saying-
when
I'm
I was
not-
18.
I'm not saying it defines you.
No, I'm not- I
saying,
know.
but it influences your outcomes.
Have you all noticed how she is now constantly trying to interject to the point where it has become interruption whenever someone else is trying to speak? She told the other panelists to let her speak, but here she is continually interrupting Pearl as Pearl's trying to speak. Not to mention that every time she starts talking, she's doing the whole hope and subjectivity thing. It always seems difficult for females to believe that the stats apply to them because they're always being told that they're special. However, she did say that the stats may be against her, so at least she acknowledges that reality. But I guess she believes in herself so much that she thinks she can overcome hundreds of thousands of years of evolutionary biology. Okay. And did she hit us with the speaking in third person thing like she's Stacey Patton or something? Put it in the comment section if you know about who I'm talking and what movie I'm referencing. And wait, is it me or did Pearl throw a dig at her too? She said that the Sierras exist, but they look like Sierra. That was a quick little Floyd Mayweather Jr. check left hook right there. Dang, Pearl. Okay, let's continue.
18.
I'm not saying it defines you.
No,
I'm
I
saying,
know.
but it influences your outcomes.
It influences my outcomes, but it doesn't 100% factual that that's going to be my outcome.
Yeah.
Statistics can say whatever, but from what I believe and where I come from and what I know and what I've seen, what I want, I will get. If I want to be a housewife, I'll be a housewife. If I don't want to be,
do you think it's wise to tell single mothers that they're going to typically be in the top 20%?
I think it's wise to tell single mothers that
Do you
if
think
you
that's
believe.
honest? Sorry. Do you think that's honest?
No.
To be honest with you, I don't think that it's honest. It's not about honest. It's about letting people know if you believe something and you're going to work towards it.
It's very
go
unrealistic.
For it. Go
Did y'all hear that? See, the it's not 100% factual thing is where a lot of females go wrong. They think that if it's not 100%, then it means they have just as good a chance to get something as they have at not getting something. Like anything less than 100 equals even. And that's because of what? Hope and subjectivity, which I call the two biggest character flaws of females when it comes to probabilities and relationship outcomes. And did you hear one of the other panelists say, that's very unrealistic? Wow. Just wow. So what do you think, good man fam? Is she a traditional woman, a modern woman, or a modern female? I'm going to be in the comment section responding to some comments, letting you all know if I agree with your answers. So don't forget to like the video first, then leave or edit your comment. Let's get it.